2026. We've made it this far. That's good. In spite of, well, let's start out with, we've left the year of the snake in Chinese astrology, and we're entering into the year of the horse. And we can tell it's been the year of the snake by all the reptiles that have shown up in the White House. But we can look forward to the year of the horse because the horse symbolizes this unbridled freedom to move forward. It has power, stamina. You have to think of the horse, it's like, yeah, we want to ride this one all the way through. And so with that in mind, I get giddy whenever I think the word impeachment. It just lightens my day. And so it's the spark. The topic is the spark of joy. And so you can remind yourself of that word, and maybe that will bring you joy during the week. Whenever you hear the news, oh boy. So joy, that spark of joy, we've all felt it. It's an uprising. It's often a surprise. We don't know it's coming, and boom, we feel this joy, this, oh, wow. And when joy comes, it grabs us where we are, exactly where we are, and it somehow lifts us up and doesn't let us down where we were before. It has elevated our mood, it's elevated something, and that tends to last for a while. Now, joy can come in many different packages. You can arrive at joy through many different doors. One of the doors is struggle. And if you think of those athletes that struggle, like the Tour de France guys that are sweating for years, pumping all of that, bicycling and training, and one of them ends up winning a stage the first time, and they fall to the ground and they're crying, and this emotion is overcome, and those are the tears of joy and completion and all of that culmination. And so sometimes the harder we struggle, the more the joy hits us. That's one aspect. Also, there's another aspect. You don't have to win to win. And I saw that one time watching a Formula One race where the guy got 10th, and he'd never made it to 10th before. And he was ecstatic, and you could see in the camera in the cockpit, he was going, yay, he was just dancing away. 10th is the beginning of getting points. So it wasn't a first, but it was a first for him. And so this joy can arise, and I know it just overwhelmed him, because he didn't see him celebrating until he got the checker, and boom, and there was the spark of joy that erupted inside. Now there's other kinds. When one is curious, just being curious, and in curiosity one tends to be open. Wonder is there with curiosity. And all of a sudden you'll spot something that'll give you a tickle. And something like, wow, look at that. For me, I can always rely on the cats to be that spark for me. I'll shake the little kibble bowl and I'll wait. I have 3 of them, and they'll come from different parts of the house. They're little trained athletes as they come ripping down the stairs and up onto their little platforms. And I watch their enthusiasm, which is infectious, and I'm curious about it, and I walk up and I'll watch them just chomping away, purring and being content, and it fills me. So that curiosity is another avenue that brings joy, and if I wasn't curious, I would miss it. But I find that joy every time I feed them. It's remarkable. It makes my day. There's another part of joy, which is the surprise. The surprise can be watching a YouTube video the other night, and it was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and it was a flash mob. And I thought, well, what the heck, I'll watch this. And it was a big square, and people were pushing strollers and having a good time, and it was really delightful to just watch them. And then the guitar came out, and the guitar started to play, and it was mic'd and amplified, and the sound was beautiful. It filled the whole square. And then the piano got unlifted. You know, there was a tarp over it, and the piano started playing, and then a singer came out on a horse and carriage that was being paraded around the square. And he was singing, and it kept going on like that. And in the balcony, the singers would open the doors, and they would start singing from the windows. Whoa. And it was at that point that the spark, I can feel it right now, when they started singing, boom, the spark hit me. I was overcome with joy. I started to cry, looked over at Susan, she's crying. We go, this is pretty cool. And that's the surprise. And we've felt that before when we've been surprised by joy. It takes us where we are, it uplifts us, and it doesn't let us down where we were before. It's transformational. It's different than play. It's different than, well, no, I wouldn't say, because that's really close, but it's different than happiness. Happiness is just a little different. Mm-hmm. Joy has a deeper resonance, and it tends to last longer. Joy is out of our control. It's like, okay, I'm going to will myself to be joy right now. Joyful. And the more I struggle to be joyful, it's not an authentic experience. It's more of a shadow. It's not the same thing. So, in a sense, we have to be available. It's good to be available to joy. How does one become available to joy? To be open to that spark. Well, there are certain circumstances that I can put myself in where I am more likely to find it than not. And one of those circumstances for me would be feeding the cats. That's always enjoyable, and I usually find joy in that. I'm open to that availability. Now, there's another forms of it, is when I put myself in a new situation that I've never experienced before. I've traveled the world, but the first time I went to Egypt, it was like, oh man, this is not Kansas anymore. Just getting off the airplane with the machine guns and all of the everything, and the veils and the different customs and religions and language and money and everything, and it was like, so there was a bit of fear there, but it was certainly new and fresh. And when I saw the first time I saw the pyramids in the bus coming up over the hill, and there are the pyramids, and this is my bucket list, and I'm going, wow. And there it was. Boom. And I noticed in that trip in particular, because I was so far out of my comfort zone, that joy was more available. It was interesting, because I had to be open in order to navigate all of this and to be careful, especially crossing the streets. Oh. So, you've been there too. So there's something about when we're out of our comfort zone, and that just being in something new and fresh opens us to possibilities. And it's in those possibilities that joy can find us. Because have you noticed that joy finds us? We don't necessarily find joy in a way. Mm-hmm. It arises within us. When I think of opening to joy, if you think of the old cameras with the lens that would open and close and let in more light or less light, well, use that as an analogy. And you're out in the desert, and you're looking out at the desert, and you see it because the lens, let's say, is wide open. You can see the whole panorama. That would be, I'm going to call wide focus. And then you can focus down to a very small point, and you can see the scorpion coming out of the hole and walking across the sand. And you could say that it's really important to be able to do both, have a wide focus and a narrow focus, because there's times when it's really important. If I'm trying to get a splinter out of my finger, it's good to have a nice tight focus rather than seeing everything at once. But then it's also, if I only have that narrow focus, I miss all of what's possible. So, in terms of being open to joy, notice that when I am feeling contracted, when I'm feeling less than myself, in a sense, I'm not joyful. Notice where my focus is. And chances are, what I always find for myself is I've narrowed it down into something small. I am focused on a problem, a situation, and I want a certain outcome. I want it to be a certain way. I am trying to get back into control. And as soon as, if I were to think of some of the biggest joy killers, I would say control, expectation, wanting life to be a certain way. And when I demand life to show up a certain way, I don't allow life to just come as it does, so that it moves me. And as soon as I open to allowing life to come as it is, I'm opening myself to that same door to joy. And in through that doorway of joy, also, you got to watch out for that sneaky one, gratitude, because it sneaks in that same door of joy. When I am joyful, I tend to feel grateful at the same time. It's like in my joy, there's that feeling of safety. I feel secure. Life is okay. And this is good. This is good. And so when we think about that spark and joy, we might not be able to grab it, but we can certainly invite it. We can invite more possibilities of joy in our life. And if you think about it, what might that be in your life? To invite more possibilities. I know for some people, it might be putting down their phone and not being as interested or curious about the news, and simply giving ourselves a break. It might be doing something new and fresh, going to some place that you've never been before, opening that up, and just that alone can open us up. See, the spark of joy is really about living, in a sense, in a more generous and kind way. When we're feeling joy, there's a sense of generosity that life is good and I want to share it. We haven't talked about pain. Pain, upset, anxiety. These are also joy killers. When I'm stuck in pain, what I find is I am usually stuck in a narrow focus. And so that's what I'm focused on, is the pain and making it go away. I don't want it. I don't like it. My anxiety or whatever's going on. But what if I were to make some space for that? Like in that desert, let's say the pain is that scorpion, and I can focus on the pain and the scorpion. Or I can widen my focus, which includes the scorpion, but it also includes the jackrabbit running in the distance, and the coyote over here, and the birds flying by in the clouds. It gives me a much wider perspective. No, the scorpion's still there. I still have pain, but my mind has not made a problem of it. And if we think of the biggest joy killers, gosh, I've got to point to my mind. My mind that takes a look at the circumstances and says, I don't like it, I don't want it, I want something better and different, and I want it now. What if I were to allow it to be exactly the way it is, like the scorpion, but shift my focus to something wider, and to become curious about it and wait for the surprise? Is that possible? I know you've done it and didn't realize that you were doing it. It's something we do. I say, oh gosh, I need to take a walk. I need to go out in nature. I need to do this or that. I need to talk to a friend, anything to shift this. And it works. So, wouldn't it be nice if we recalled that and took our own advice and actually did it? But oftentimes we go, I don't have the time right now. I need to get something done. It's dinner time. All the excuses. There was a time when I was doing these long meditation retreats and be sitting in silence, and something happened one day, and it was amazing. I was thinking about what was for lunch, and after lunch, was I going to walk on the water, or was I going to go back and sit somewhere else? And I noticed, you're thinking, aren't you? You're not being quiet. You're listening to your thoughts, and the thoughts are thinking you. Something's going on. What's going on here? You're not meditating. What's going on? I'm going, wow. I'm watching myself watch all of what's going on. The watcher is watching the watcher, and it's like, what? And in that moment, I realized the thoughts were coming, and I could not only watch the thoughts, I could move the thoughts. I could shift the thoughts without even trying. They could just shift. And I went, well, that's pretty cool. But was even more cool was, and this is the point I'm trying to make, something within us woke me up. It's that same something within all of us that woke me up and just said, hey, you're watching something. I mean, this was an epiphany. This was something that is still with me. And so, whenever I find myself moving in meditation back to my lunch or what's for dinner or all of the thoughts that arise, when I catch myself doing that, I applaud that which woke me up and broke the trance so I can begin again. And I think the whole spiritual journey is waking up, beginning again, going to sleep, waking up, beginning again. Effortlessly. It's like tuck and roll. You trip, you fall down, you roll, you get right back up again. And there's no effort to it. It's easy. It's kind of like a kid. The kid who has an upset, I'm never going to play with Billy again. I hate Billy. I'm going to my room. Slam. Boom. 15 minutes later, where's Billy? And you go over and, where's Billy, Mom? Come on. Is Billy around? Yeah, he's outside. Oh, good. And it's gone. That's how quickly children can move through it. That's how quickly children can move through it. And so, children don't need to go to therapy for 10 sessions to figure out how to get over an upset. They move on. They move on really quickly. And so, this spark of joy, the spark of joy gives us a resilience. So again, we can drop our drama more quickly because we know the sweetness. We've tasted the sweetness. And we can continue to move forward, trusting that that sweetness will come, trusting that in those three avenues, the avenues of struggle, the avenue of curiosity, and the avenue of surprise, that joy will arise. It's just our nature. And so, I leave you with, let's just hold a hand up to our heart. And perhaps you can even feel it beating, but if not, just know and thank it for all the work it's been doing for all these years, and it's never had a vacation. And to return the love that has been sent out through your body, through its activity, is return the love to the heart. And let it pass down through your hand into the heart as a joyous thank you. Good work, heart, good work. And I'm going to leave you as you're holding your hand to your heart with this affirmation. Today I let go of controlling life and invite joy and play as my teachers. I move easily between the narrow and the wide focus. I am grateful for everything life provides. I move into 2026 with love in my heart and generosity in my every action. And so it is.